cute.
That is my Google Voice, and so
I think I finally figured it out.
It's like a backup.
That's how it
So
definitely was.
yeah, you can get rid of it because I'm thinking if somebody were to text me on that, I might not see it until
We're just in the middle of the commercial break. We're going to go back on the air and finish the other half of this conversation.
But I think that's what I gave her. I think it's just her. She is a little flighty. So we're a little bit more power about the website. She's excited about it.
Oh, do you use little forms?
But I told her I'd be
How old are you?
about
27.
Okay. Okay. Very cool.
So yeah, I don't remember the millennial age on it, but I'm like,
It's like 1996, and I'm born in 97.
yeah, I think I'm on like kind of the almost whatever later than you. And it's
I'm
like,
not trusting the
I know. I mean, there's some like 30-year-olds. I think it's like 35 to like 22, something like that. I mean, it's arbitrary. It really is. Yeah.
it's actually been like,
That are going to be created, including Instagram and
Gotta go. Okay.
thinking about
That's what I'm trying to do. We'll be. Oh, and I end all my shows with living life sunny side up. So when I say that, live your life, I need you to say sunny side up.
Oh,
Now you guys know our secrets.
we are going live. Yes.
We are live. Are you live here? We're live
So
before.
it seems. So.
Okay. Now we're live. Here's.
Yeah.
All right. This is Dr. Christine Bacon as the commercial break just sat there, and I am here with my guest, Alex Matagiana. We're doing the Breakfast with Bacon show. And if you like what you hear, go ahead and go to my website. You'll hear it again. It's going to be uploaded to www.breakfastwithbacon.com.
Or you can come to my YouTube channel at Alex Matagian. That's ALE.
Promote my stuff.
That way.
But truly what I'm going to do is when you go to my website, because it's easy to remember Breakfast with Bacon.
www.breakfastwithbacon.
Right, then the Alex Matagian. But what's going to happen is there's going to be a picture of the two of us after we go off the air. You just click on that image. It'll take you straight to whichever web page or link he wants us to take it to. So if you're interested in seeing some of his work, you can. And, I want to give, us old fogies, joy that there's good kids coming up. And again, I'm never saying kid disparagingly, but I have, children who are, 11 years older than you and
Something
grandchildren
like that.
only 7, 8 years younger than you. So
Okay.
I'm like, dang. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
You know what my definition of a child is?
What?
Somebody who has been treated like a child and therefore will act like a child. You heard the saying, "You are what you eat."
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much true with modern system. I mean, if you want to, you can go out and meet some Amish kids. They act more like adults than adults do. It's really scary. I mean, I'm not even talking college kids. I'm talking like 30-year-olds, that kind of maturity.
Right?
That's kind of what they've been exposed to.
That's what
They've been exposed to social
exactly.
media
And all.
Well, I mean, it's not like you touch social media. Oh, I'm going to become mature. No. It's not like that at all.
But it is very
Materialistic and more on just the visual and more on just what looks good. How can I filter? How can I take the selfie? And it goes against those things you mentioned in the first half of the show.
I warn you though, the grand majority of people using Facebook right now are not my generation.
No,
They're
Facebook is
your
old.
generation. Yeah.
Did I say Facebook? I meant to say Instagram.
Okay, Instagram, sure. Snapchat, sure.
So the generation that it's all about how you look and how you present and the selfie and so when you have these Amish kids who don't have to worry about appearance to the degree that we do, I mean, they may because they're human anyway, then they're exposed to those things that you're talking about, the values, the virtues, goodness, kindness. And I'm not saying any Amish person is any more inclined
Right.
person than we are. Evil comes.
Well, I mean, I've had, people treat me well. A lot of people treat me very well throughout my life. And I wanted to be like those people just because I was around them. So I acted more maturely because they were so good to me.
Yeah.
Now I've had people act poorly to me, and I will not name who they are, but I really felt like they treated me like a child. And so my behavior would noticeably get worse. I would be more rude. I would be less caring. I would not be interested in, going that extra. I would barely be interested in doing the bare minimum for these
That's
people.
kind of like the Trump effect. Trump has got a mouth on him. His tweets.
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
People that are bolder about making comments. I mean, people who I've voted for him, so people here who've listened to me know that. But it's like, sometimes I just want to put duct tape on his mouth, which is about 90% of the time.
Oh, are you kidding me? I think that he should be talking. The more he talks, the more. I mean, like take for example, the more people can recognize what's good and bad. Take Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Oh, jeez.
I want her to keep talking. Please, she is the absolute best campaigner
Because the
for
more
Donald
she
Trump.
talks,
The more she see with Donald Trump, yes, half the country goes, "Oh, I can't believe he did that," but the other half goes, he's got a point right there. And yeah,
I like a lot of the things he says and does. I just don't like the way he says them. Sometimes he's just, but whatever. Any of the kids, this isn't a Trump show. So who are you? So
my name is Alex Michael Madagian. I am the son of David, who is the son of Michael.
All right, enough of that. So where'd you grow up? Tell me about your life.
I grew up on the coast of California. I hope you'll forgive me for that. I grew up in a town called Santa Barbara. Gorgeous, beautiful, beautiful beach town. It is run on white gilt. That is the fuel that moves that town. White gilt. I didn't want to stay there long because it's a beach town. People just want to surf, do drugs, and beautiful, gorgeous town. Gorgeous, gorgeous, beautiful town. If you like psych, it takes place. It is a gorgeous state. I wanted to leave though, because there was a ceiling that for lack of better terms, there was a glass ceiling. There's only so far you can do, and not just Santa Barbara, but California, especially if you're a conservative such as myself who wants to have discussions with people, because California.
Let's use our intellect, and not just our emotions.
Yeah, it's more than that. California is very much business as usual. We like things this way. Do not touch us with that. Yeah, do not change it. So I wanted to go to the most changing place in the world,
Which is
Washington, D.C. Every 4 years, every 2 years with every Congress, it's changing. So I after 2 years of school, yep, they're still there.
I love you, but them out of here.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty incredible. They gave my blessing. I mean, typical Armenians, they wanted me to stay there till I'm 30. Then maybe think about getting a wife. But
Maybe, only child.
No, I'm the middle child, which is way worse. Oh yeah, boys, all boys. That's how I branded myself. So I packed up my car with everything I thought I'd want or need. I don't really need that much, so I filled it with whatever. Drove across the whole country, camping along. I got to see Middle America. That in itself was an experience with a whole nother radio show. But anyway, I came out to Washington D.C. Didn't really know anyone. Stayed with some friends that I knew way outside of town. Just stumbling around, and I was expecting most of what I would learn to be how DC works, how do those backroom deals work. Primarily, what I learned are lessons that you would think my generation. Well, it's what my generation should learn, and that's how do you get a job? How do you pay for bills? You know what? Rent's expensive. You know what? Food's expensive. You know what? Gas is expensive. Everything is. It is expensive being poor. That's probably the biggest lesson I learned, is just how expensive it is being poor, especially the toll it has on you, like your anxiety, your stress. It all just accelerates so much more. It fills you with this sort of terror. I mean, I was living with a friend, super nice guy. He didn't even require me to pay rent. Really, real honest angel guy. But that stress of not being able to pay my way, and it was just me. It's not like I had a wife and kids. It was just me. That drove me crazy.
An insight into the welfare system, how sometimes it's broken if we expect that we should have it, instead of realizing that it feels good for a man or a woman to pay their way. I feel like
well, it's not even paying my. It's that concept of.
But it's deeper than just paying.
Right.
It's like I want to be able to.
It's a guy. It's very. I can't speak for a woman, but it really feels like this is the guy thing. Like,
it's more of a guy thing than female thing.
Yeah, I mean that sort of. You need to provide, at least if you can't even provide for yourself, so that sort of internal struggle, it was just eating me alive. But thankfully, I was able to find, I worked a lot of wacky jobs in the last, I did everything from working as a meat clerk in a grocery store to being a journalist at Capitol Hill, where I'd go to press conferences with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and record what they say and put up stories. And it was really cool. But, I got that whole range of knowledge. Now, I didn't take one class during that whole time, one semester of anything. I have several associate's degrees. I don't have a bachelor's. I'm going back to school in the fall. At George Mason. Yeah. Actually, I'm not finishing up any of those. I'm just going to whole different major. I was majoring in communications, ironically.
And you're not anymore?
Well, at first I figured it would be such a broad and wide-ranging degree. I could do it for just about anything. But the more I look into it, the more it doesn't really seem like.
It's not you. That didn't design for you.
No, it's just communication really was not meant to be done in the classroom. You teach public speaking, right? There is no amount of books you can read that'll make you a good public speaker. Maybe there's one or two great ones. You just go up, do a terrible speech. Yeah, and it's probably too expensive anyway.
Audience,
The best way to learn how to public speak is get up, do a terrible speech, sit down, rinse, repeat. Yeah.
Keep going on this. So, you did get a job. You're gainfully employed.
Well, not as of now. Interestingly, just by the college money I'm using to subsidize my rent is paying for itself because I'm getting in-state tuition, which will reduce my cost by $20,000 a year.
Yeah, which is great.
So,
So when you left home and your parents, how did you grow up? I think you told me you were homeschooled, right?
Yes.
And all of your other siblings were as well?
Yeah.
Did you like being homeschooled? Would you prefer to have been in a different school system, public, private?
I got really snotty in elementary, middle school, thinking I felt like I was better than all my peers for being homeschooled, yada yada. And to a certain degree, I still do.
I love the honesty.
It's kind of true. But I really don't. I stopped looking down on people for their situation.
The public school system.
Right. But I mean, the more and more I get exposed to its effects, the more and more unimpressed I am at
what the effects of what homeschool?
When people say, "Oh, you're homeschooled," the first thing they say is not "How did you get educated?" It's "How did you socialize?" They say as I'm socializing with people. How are you socialized? It's like I'm doing it right now. Do you need to question what we're doing right now? But to most people, school is not so much an educational thing as it is a social thing, which is it's stupid. People aren't even getting a good social.
I tell you, if I was in California, I would totally homeschool anyway, because the nastiness that they're putting in so-called educational system, it's really just a system of indoctrination. Because I want to start arguing for it. School was designed when the Pilgrims came over to teach kids how to read, teach them how to write, and teach them math.
Well, no.
Now they want to.
No. They literally only did it to teach the Bible. That was the only reason for education back in the day. To a certain degree, learning, yes.
True. Okay, I'll go with that.
It was totally about.
But you had to learn to read.
They were pilgrims. They were pilgrims. Yeah. You had to learn to read the Bible, to write down scripture, and
at basic, that's all school is for outside of mom and dad's house. And now they want to mandate that your kids go to school. They're trying to make people not allow homeschooling because they want to get their filthy little hands on your mind.
I have a few things.
And then they want to teach you sex ed. I'm like, I don't think any human, even animals, know how to have sex. It is so instinctive that why are we teaching children how to do what their bodies are normally going to do as soon as puberty hits and their testosterone and oxytocin raise? There's no need.
I'll say this right now, though. They do have a point. The California educators have a point that they need to teach. Trust me, I did a report on what they're teaching in California. It is disgusting.
It's reprehensible.
No, I'm not going to get on. It's just like I'm going to vomit if I start talking about it. But they have a point because they want to teach things like don't have some giant orgy party without, that's what
That's how to put a condom on the banana first.
exactly. But you see that their point holds water because the parents aren't teaching them anything about sex. That's the big problem.
I disagree. I think even as far back in the 50s, kids and
That was the 50s.
let's go to the 20s.
No. I'm talking like this time.
I can't think of any generation where parents needed to say, "Well, son, here's what you do. The man does this."
No. It's not about how to do it.
That's what it was designed for. It was initially designed
when you do it.
supposedly.
See, that's the thing is parents are not talking about when you do it
That
or
came
why
with
you do
faith
it.
and religion. That
No.
came with faith,
But they're not being taught that.
Painted,
That's
right?
the thing.
And in the homes either, and there's these assumptions. So the school is trying to say, "I want to be your mom and dad. I want to take advantage of the fact that your parents might be too embarrassed to talk about sex." And I honestly don't think most parents are embarrassed to talk about sex with their kids. But what you see is I see a bunch of people trying to tell you what should be morally acceptable and what shouldn't. And then if you go home and find out that your parents think differently, we at least got our opportunity to plant a seed in your head to make you feel like your parents are weird because they actually think you need to be married before you should have sex. And so it really came into this.
I wasn't expecting to talk about sex, but I guess you wanted to talk about it. So
I can explain it to you. I can do that if you need to, but I'll tell
I'm
you.
a grown man.
Child, turn on the ears and you explain to Alex. It's not only the birds and the bees now. It's the bees and the bees, the birds and the bees, the birds, the bees, and the buzzards. They're all getting together.
You want me to educate you on the
Catholic
gay, bisexual, transgender, intersexual, queer sex questioning?
California school system's all saying it's all good. So I'm a proponent of no sex ed in the schools because it takes away all indoctrination, takes away. And the people who are pushing it know it. It's a value thing that they want to go in and twist the brains of the children, just like this drag queen story hour. I don't know if the average listener knows what's happening. Just happened here in Norfolk a couple of weeks ago when I was in Wisconsin, so I couldn't protest. Let's get these men dressed up like women coming in and telling you that it's okay for your children. And so that it takes down all of their guards, but that's a whole nother conversation. I can't even remember how I got in there to that one. What did you say that made me get there and go off on my?
What made you go off on that is the fact that the one reason, and this is how Marxists tend to operate, cultural relatives tend to operate. They have one grain of truth, and the one grain that they are talking about is that I don't think that parents are doing the job of talking about why.
Why is sex important?
The only literally the only thing on young people's brains is sex because there's cultural, the bodies, cultural influences.
Right.
That's all they're thinking about.
Okay,
but well, here's the part where it's not okay. The culture is pushing sex, and the parents aren't guiding them. The only people guiding them or willing to guide them is the schools.
And the media.
The schools and the media, yes, all these institutions. Parents are so busy
living their own lives, trying to figure out their own mess because they've just gotten divorced or they're having problems in their marriage, or they're not thinking about, let me sit down and tell my kid anything.
My heart goes out to all the parents who, such as yourself, who do not like sex ed in schools. But I'm sitting here going, somebody needs to be teaching them, and if parents don't
step up. But I did teach my kids.
Oh yeah.
I taught my kids morality.
Okay, yeah, but you are one wonderful woman out of how many,
But I know a lot of people like me, and the thing is the indoctrination and the fight.
That's the thing is on a national scale here. We're talking all of America here, working in unison, and it did do that. I'd say 50s and prior to that, they did have those kind of birds and bees talks, but that's not really happening now.
Why not?
On such a grand scale. What did your
parents tell you? You're 21.
My parents were remarkably extraordinary in all regards.
Mr. and Mrs.
But
Monajan, you did a cool
yes, mommy, daddy, you're wonderful people. So love you. Well, yes, live on air. But most people are materialist in action. Maybe not in thought. Maybe I believe in God. No, come on, they're materialists. Right. Most people are not religious. You know, maybe you know, there's people who might say they're Christian, but I'm not religious, or I'm what's the term? Spiritual, but not religious. You know, and what that was.
An hour to get to the.
That's because you're out at mass, okay? That's because you're out in church. You're
You who say you're not religious, but you're spiritual. Why are you not getting out there worshiping this God
yeah. I mean,
actively an hour a week someplace
well, I mean, it's not even need to be an hour a week, but some sort of.
or some time frame?
Well, it's not even a necessary time, but it is a lifestyle. That I mean, God is worthless if it does not affect your life.
Right. Right.
you
call yourself a Christian, but then you go shoot someone or road rage.
No, it's not even that. If you know, is there, and if you believe in God, and is there something out there where I can't do that because this is not permissible
And
by
this would
God,
offend my God, who I am.
then your belief in God is worthless. It means nothing. It means nothing. You have a cupcake God.
Well, since I am kind of like a Christian Oprah, tell me
About faith in your family. So where do you stand in faith? What did your parents tell you? Do you disagree with them? Do you agree with them? Where are you today?
My faith goes back thousands of years.
Mhm.
Armenia, I'm 95% Armenian of Armenian. My dad's like 99.9% Armenian. You know, as far back as they go, all my parents come from the country of Armenia, which was the very first country to adopt Christianity as the state religion, even before the Bible was canonized 50 years later.
Like the modern day church.
No, Armenia is modern day Turkey. In the 1915, the Turks invaded Armenia and committed a genocide, murdering 1.5 million Armenians. You don't know about this because Turkey has sort of stranglehold the foreign affairs for many, many years in the United States. And so we do not teach about the genocide. We have, the federal government has not recognized the genocide because for fear of offending Turkey. But it's a lot of topic. Anyway, there's a strong cultural understanding of the Orthodox approach to God on both sides of my family. My mother's side, she, after the genocide, her family fled to South America, set up shop in Sao Paulo, Brazil. To this day, I'm actually a Brazilian citizen. Fun fact of the day. My father went off to Racine, Wisconsin, just right next door to you. Right. And then he was born in California. And so my father was brought up in the Orthodox Armenian faith, my mother Protestant Armenian. So then they met actually in Armenia.
Armenian faith, is that like Catholic or is that
No. Think Eastern Orthodox.
which is kind of Catholic?
Well, I mean, I would argue that we're more Orthodox than the Catholics, but you know, yeah.
I agree with you. Like, you
Yeah.
believe in the Pope,
Or you don't. Or
No, Eastern Orthodox. Basically, they do the liturgy. They do, but it's not in Latin. It's in what usually their native area. They don't believe in the Pope. They have patriarchs. Yeah, they're kind of basically bishops, but they have bishops underneath that. It's a different structure.
I was just curious.
The big thing is really big thing is basically Catholics, but without popes.
Okay, so you're there, you
That's
got 5
traditional.
minutes.
5 minutes. So that alone ingrains in me a sort of reverence for my heritage and for Christ and for that faith. And then my mother, she really was passionate about giving her. Both my parents were passionate about giving their faith to me, and a lot of and obviously as with everyone else, my principles, my actions to this day are
What your parents.
are because of faith. You see, my parents were not hypocrites. They really did what they believed. They really did. I mean, maybe my dad, I can nitpick with him because he's my dad, but my mom, no. I couldn't try and criticize her if I wanted. There's nothing I could say against her. If you could point a gun to my head, I don't think I could. I would be too afraid to speak and say something bad against her. Yes, that Armenian mother.
The Jewish mother.
Oh, I would argue worse. I would argue worse. Ma, I'm home, Ma. Leave me alone, Ma.
But they allowed you.
That's the other thing is that they didn't. They were very. I was very aware they were indoctrinating me, perfectly aware, and at the same time, they allowed me freedom to talk to people who to atheists, to this, to that.
If you have truth on your side, you're not free. Like pro-life, pro-abortion argument. I'm like, go ahead. The reason the pro-aborts don't want to talk about it is because truth always wins.
It's a losing side.
Right. It's like you can't rationalize why it's okay to chop up a little baby.
I had a really quick. I had a try in the last school I went to. I tried to get a debate between a pro-life and a pro-abortion professor, and I kept getting no, until finally one professor announced to me the reason why is because when you put up the argument between a woman and a dead baby always wins. They know it perfectly well, but they don't have much to stand on.
And the fact that it hurts the woman too, and the fact that many men.
Well, they're not going to go that far. They're not,
Because you can prove that it killed the baby, but you can't always prove that it hurts all the women. Some women are shouting.
It's introspective,
So, but you had this really good upbringing where your parents gave you, this is our truth. We're going to raise in this truth because we're parents and we want to.
No.
But you're going to have the freedom to research.
They never ever told me this is my truth. They said this is the truth.
True. Okay, right. That's kind of what I meant to say.
Right. I'm sure. Right. But they,
just like Jesus allows us. He's like, I'm going to give you truth, but then I'm also going to leave the door open for you to go out, discover, like the prodigal son. Go live your life. Go get in your pig's pen. But I'm always here. I'm never changing. I still love you. It doesn't change the fact that.
But they could have told me anything. The biggest, and this is true with every household, I believe without exception, the biggest testimony was the fact that they were consistent with what they believed.
They lived their life.
Yep.
Wow. So this has been fun. I know it's a little bit different than my usual radio shows, which is like totally all focused on faith because I've got an energy firecracker right here. A nice 21-year-old ball of energy who's not afraid to speak his voice and challenge the culture, but give other people a voice as well. And so again, Alex, I'm so grateful that you've been on here, and I want you to go.
You invited me. Thank you.
Well, and so as I want my listeners to know again, listen to the show again, breakfastwithbacon.com. You'll be able to hear it, and then click on the image of Alex and me, and you will be able to be led to his podcast, his radio show, whatever. But just know that the ending positives is that the upcoming generation is not a bad generation. You are what you eat. We need to do our best to keep feeding you truth. And you guys need to keep doing your best at searching truth, just like we have to keep doing until the day we die. We should never stop.
One last point of substance. Please don't give up on us. I really sincerely beg everyone that's of age and has some pockets of wisdom, don't give up on the generation.
Well, I usually ask to name one thing you'd have our listeners do differently as a result of something.
There you go.
Today, and that you got it ahead of me. You're psychic too, right?
No, I'm just. Come on, you
just have a radio show.
Yeah.
Alex, thank you so much.
I appreciate your 3-hour drive just to get here and bless my listeners. We'll see about doing something.
It's okay. You'll buy me lunch, right?
I will buy. Yes, I will buy you lunch.
They're doing it on the air.
That's a great place too. So I got to go off the air. I thank all of you for listening, for being faithful listeners of Breakfast with Bacon. I am blessed by you. I ask that your families be blessed this weekend and always, that your marriages are blessed. Keep your eyes fixed on Christ. But thank you for listening to the Breakfast with Bacon show. I am Dr. Christine Bacon. You've been listening to Breakfast with Bacon, and I want to remind you always to live your life. You remember it? Sunny side up.
I remember that line. There you go.
I like how you say Jay Sekulow instead of Sekulow.
I say it wrong, and I just haven't had enough energy to go.
Oh, are you the
He's the one here, Jay Sekulow.
Okay. You were really trying to hold it. Oh, I better end the live stream. Hey guys, thanks for coming on.
The live stream. I'm dead now.
Yeah.